let's go ahead and we'll put this on the grinder and we'll go ahead and sharpen it up now. We're going to be using the Oregon Model 520 120 grinder, and there's the little nameplate there. And be sure to check out the links below if you're interested in this grinder. But nonetheless, there's the nameplate, and here's the angles we're going to be using. So there's 55 there, 25 there, and no no down angle or anything like that. So yeah, so I've got it all set up here, and I've made a few quick little test grinds, and you can already feel that one's nice and sharp, and this one's nice and sharp here. So I like to start over here. In fact, I wrote start right here, and that's because when I flip it over to this side here for the left-hand cutters, it ends up being a little bit longer in the grind. It's just it doesn't line up exactly, and I'm only talking, maybe, I don't know, 5 to 10 thousandths or something like that. So all I do is just advance this a little bit to compensate for that, and then I measure these two teeth. Once I get this one's already ground. Once I do one of these on the left hand side, what I like to do is check it with a micrometer of some sorts, um, dial caliper or something, something to measure them with. And so here we go. We're gonna go ahead and just grind a few of these. I'm not gonna bore you with the whole grinding experience, but it is a lot of fun. And this is a nice way to get rid of a lot of that completely just smashed corner right there instead of hand filing it all the way down. And then I'll just hand file after I get them all kind of at the right angles and everything. All the right hand cutters are done. I've flipped over to the left hand cutters now, and you can see I've put it on 25 degrees again. And all I had to do is just advance this knob uh, maybe a turn, maybe. And that got it to the same length. I just used, a measuring device of some sorts, and got it that way. So I'm going to go through here and sharpen these left hand cutters now. Got everything set up to do the rakers now. So I've got all the teeth sharpened to the same length, and now we're gonna get these rakers knocked back. I've got the angle set to 0 here, and I've got this set to about 85, something like that. Somewhere in there. That's not super critical on that. I like it a little progressive, not just a square. But if you like it square, that's cool. If you like it a little angled, that's cool too. Whatever you're into. So what I did was I actually checked the raker height by placing this gauge on top, and then I used a 25 thousandths feeler gauge in there right underneath it here, and you can see how close it is to it. So it was not 25 thousandths. So what I'm going to do here is just run this square grinding wheel down. See how square this is? what I'll do is I'll run it down right onto here and knock it back a little bit. So what I'm going to have to do is actually move this back a little bit to stop, quite a bit actually, um, because the chain, the raker, it needs to come in contact, and you can still see I went too far. So these little low profile chains, they aren't nearly as big as those full size 3/8, but yeah, that's pretty close there. We'll probably do that. So let me do that, and we'll knock it back a little bit, and we'll check on it. What I'm going to start doing is adjusting this depth knob until it starts touching the raker. So when I do that, then I'll know how much I need to take off. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to start lowering the grinder onto it. It's not touching it yet. I did have to screw it in quite a bit when I first started, so then I'm going to back it back out a little bit. Right there. See how I touched it just a little bit, and you can see the sparks coming off of it? Now I take my gauge here and I try to slide it in there, and it's just barely not enough. So I just need to unscrew that depth screw a little bit more, hold it down on there, then I'm just gonna turn it out just a little bit, maybe 1/8 to 1/4 of a turn, maybe, probably not even that much. Then I slide this in there, and it's still not enough. It's still hitting. So it needs to come down a little bit more. Same thing, just like that. And that's barely dragging. I'm probably going to take it down just a little bit more. These are really small movements I'm making here. Yeah, and there goes the gauge. It slides in there. So that's perfect. Alright, so I'm going to go around now, and I can do left and right teeth, you know, alternatively, just like this. These right teeth get a little chattery, so just feed it in there slow, and then you can slide the gauge in, and that's perfect. It's dragging a little bit top and bottom when I insert it, so that's exactly what I'm looking for. Got the rakers all knocked back, and they look great. They look like they were knocked back a lot because they were never touched, and you can see how short the tooth is compared to what it used to be. So that turned out really nice. This chain will be, so it's just a little gunk built there. I thought it was a burr right there, but it was just a little gunk on there. So yeah, we're ready to put this chain back on that bar we fixed up, and put everything back on the power head, and see if we can get it in the wood somewhere. Try it out. We've got our new chain here, or our sharpened chain, not new, and we've got our little 011 AV here. So let's see if we can get this bar on here. This is the one we cleaned up really good. It looks like that's going to fit on there just fine. I'm going to go ahead and, well, I went ahead and turned this in quite a bit by loosening, lefty loosey, and that moved this bar adjuster stud in toward the body of the saw more. The reason I did that because I went ahead and took a link out of the chain, and figured this video was long enough. But there's the new link I put in, so I made it 55 drivers instead of 56. And I think that's going to make a difference in getting the tail of the bar into the right place. We can start with putting the chain on there, slide this bar in place. Then we can, I'm just doing this like this so you guys can see. Usually I do it on its side, but it's nice to be able to see what I'm doing. So now I'm just going to flop the chain into that top bar groove, and when you pull it tight, it should lay just like that. So you can see now that the tail of the bar is much more supported now that I took that one driver out, and that'll be really nice. And it looks like the chain will have plenty of tension, once we tighten it up there a little bit. Let's see if we can move this on camera for you guys. Not really. Oh yeah, a little bit. Here we go. So you can see the tensioner moving. There we go. There you go. So that's what it will look like there. And like I said, that's supported much better. And looks like this is a little bit closer to the sprocket. And what that'll give you is less chance of a chain flying off because a branch got stuck behind there. So that's kind of a good thing too. So you don't throw a bunch of chains all the time. So that is excellent there. That's good. And now we've got this brake here. We're just going to clean some of this gunk out of here real quick, just to kind of dull it up a little bit. I'm not super worried about the brake, like I said. That's just what it is. I just want to get it in the get it on back on there, get it back on the saw there, and we'll play with maybe getting the brake fixed later. So we're going to make sure this little brake metal piece gets into the plastic brake handle, and then we can put this bar nut back on. This looks like a custom, maybe a custom one. I think the factory one was like a 13 millimeter, but probably somebody wanted a 3/4 or 19 millimeter nut, so they ended up maybe drilling and tapping that one, and maybe it was factory like that. I'm not sure, but that's okay. We got that, and our chain tension is just a little loose, so we're just gonna give it just a little turn right there, and now it's just barely touching that bar. That might even be a little too much. Back it off just a little bit. Nope, that's right where it wanted to be. Okay, right there. And that's where that chain, the bottom of this chain, when I was tightening it, it just barely touched the bottom of the bar when I was tightening it. That's right where I like to run them. And then we need to tighten up the bar nut. It's just a single one, so we'll just tighten that one. And then check to make sure it will move. And then it's tight in there. Whew. There it goes. Let's check underneath it here, make sure I'm not doing something wrong, or no. It's just tight somewhere. But it's feeling a lot better already. It is dry. I haven't ran any oil through there. But maybe it'll break in. We'll check it after we run it some and see. But that is pretty tight. In fact, that's really tight right there. Maybe I didn't quite have it in the right place. So what I'll do is I'll take some of that tension out of there. Yeah, that's really tight. Well, it might be one of those when you tighten it up, it tightens the chain up for you too. Yeah, see, that's nice and loose now. Okay. Something weird was going on with that. Just a little bit more. There. Let's see if we can get it now. Sometimes if you don't have the side cover tightened down all the way, there we go. Yeah, that's perfect. Yes, it's a good thing to check it like that with a screwdriver, make sure the chain runs pretty good. And it did not at first. So I think what happened was I had it tensioned with the side cover kind of crooked a little bit, a little off. And then when it tightened it up a whole lot. So like I said, it's always good to check. It should run like that. So there we go. All right, well, that's all back together. And before we go do anything crazy, we are going to get this air filter cover and air filter installed. So we'll wait to do that. But I did want to cover one thing. I made a tank vent here for this saw, and all that is a piece of fuel line and 2 set screws back to back inside of there, and that's all you need. That allows air in. You can test it with a vacuum tester, but it doesn't allow the fuel out. So that's a really nice, easy, cheap way to make your own tank vent like that. Got our air filter cover in and the air filter. You can see the tank vent is working perfectly. We're not leaking any fuel out. So that's great. I did have to reroute this fuel line to go between the carburetor and the body. But there's plenty of room to wrap it around there. And what that did was it allowed me to set the air filter on there and for it to set flat into its little recess area. And then the cover here that has the choke built in, so when you slide it over, see how it pushes down on that? That's how that works. That's how it chokes the carburetor. And so you just slip it in these little ears right here. They go in underneath of this metal top part right here. There's two little notches here that these teeth go into. So make sure those go into there. And once you have them in there, you can go ahead and tighten the screw down. This is just a flathead. All right, so once we got the cover on there, we're going to go outside with this 011 AV, and we're going to go try to start it up and see if this choke works. All right, well, we're outside. I've got Sellick here, and what we're going to do is try to get this thing started up and actually run it a little bit with this air filter on here. It might need a little tweaking on the carburetor. It might not. I don't know. But either way, let's go ahead and turn the run switch or the stop switch to run, and that's pushing it down like that. And then we're going to go ahead and set the throttle lock because it's a little cool out, and I think that'd be good. And then we're going to flip this is our new choke lever here that's on our cover we just put on. So we're going to flip that over to the choke position. So it's about, I don't know, 30 degrees or something this morning. So let's see how many pulls it takes to get this thing started up. There's 1, 2, 3. Okay. There we go. Only took 3 pulls. That's awesome. Yeah, this actually feels pretty, pretty handy. I don't know how much power it has yet. I've heard they're pretty decent little saws, but we'll see. Well, let's see if it'll restart after we, got it going there and then shut it right off. It's still a little cold, but let's see if it'll start up on one pull. I'm good with that. That's it for this part of the 011 AV series. But stay tuned. I'll probably have this in some decent sized maple or something like that. I think I've got a few logs back there, maybe some oak floating around, red oak, something like that. But either way, thank you guys so much for watching and staying here with me while I'm going through this stuff. This is really what I enjoy doing, is getting these things going and just hanging out here with you guys. So either way, remember, keep your chains sharp and stay safe.